Bonjour et bienvenue. Today we are doing a cooking tutorial. I'm Ian Reed. I am the Vice President of La Société Française of St. Anselm College. Today we are going to be cooking a tourtière. This is a French-Canadian meat pie, one of my personal favorites. So what this dish comes from, it comes from the word tourte, meaning like a small bird, like a dove or a pigeon. And that's what this pie was traditionally made of. So this meat pie, the tourtière, was traditionally had in the winter, particularly around Christmas time, as to accompany celebratory feasts. Now, the filling can include most things. It can be game birds, although today it's mostly pork and beef, but you can also do things like veal and venison. It's primarily up to you. But the version today I'm going to be doing is a mix of pork and beef, and it is in a style more particular of my heritage, New England French Canadian. So, let's get cooking. Alright, let's start out with our ingredients. First, a half pound of ground beef. Une demi-livre de bœuf haché. Next, a half pound of ground pork. Une demi-livre de porc haché. A diced onion. Un oignon découpé en dés. One potato, cut into cubes. Une pomme de terre coupée en cubes. Some minced garlic, ail émincé. And finally for our spices. Ground cinnamon, la cannelle. Ground sage, la sauge. Ground cloves, les clous de girofle. Nutmeg, la muscade. Salt, du sel. And pepper, du poivre. Great, now we got all our ingredients set up, so on to the next step. First things first, let's get a pot of water boiling for the potatoes. Now, this you can typically do as you're getting your ingredients set, but for the sake of the video, we're doing it now. So let's check back in 20 minutes or so and see where we're at. Alright, we're gonna go take a look at it. Oh, there we go. Alright, let's get those potatoes in there. Alright, now we got our potatoes in there, so they're going to stay in there for about 10-15 minutes. How we're going to tell they're done is we're going to stick a fork in them and just make sure that there's not too much resistance going in. Now, we don't want them too mushy because when we go to mash them, we want them to stay together a little bit. So, let's check back in that time and see what happens. Alright, here I got one of the larger pieces of potato. Let's take a look. Oh, there we go. See how easy that went in? Not mushy, but it went in pretty easily. Yep, that means we're good. Let's get these in the bowl. Alright, well, I'm mashing the potatoes. Over here, I got some oil heating up. This is going to be for the onions and the meat. I prefer olive oil. It's nice, healthy thing to saute your food in. While that's heating up, I'm going to go finish mashing up my potatoes. Alright, got my potatoes mashed up. Let's check the oil. Alright, see a little shimmer in there? I think we are good. Oh, wow. It is definitely ready. Let's turn that down a tad. And here we go. Oh yeah, look at that sound. There we go. We're going to get that sauteing a little bit. When we see it starting to brown, we're going to go ahead and add the meat. Try and separate these onions if you can. There we go. Oh yeah, you can just smell it. Alright, there we go. See how we got a nice bit of brown on those onions? Alright, now let's add the meat. Yep, right into that. Prepare a little space in the center. And let's go ahead with the beef. Yes, the beef. As soon as it gets unstuck. And the pork. Alright, now what you're going to want to do, start separating that with your spoon. You're going to want to get this all separated, mashed up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to skip ahead a bit to when we got this all blended together. Alright. Yep, so here we go. What we're doing here, breaking up the chunks, and you see here, as it's starting to brown on the sides a bit, we're trying to get this as broken up as possible, so that way when we blend it together later, we have a bit easier of a time. That, and it cooks a bit faster. Alright, here we go. So, we're looking at that. We've got rid of most of the big chunks. We've got it mostly cooked through here. That's going to be important for the next step, especially as we're tasting it with the spices. Now, if you look here in the center, you see all this liquid? This is rendered fat. Now, we don't want too wet and loose of a pie, so what we're going to do is probably one of the more dangerous steps, so just be careful. And this is definitely a two-handed ordeal. So with me, I've got this handy-dandy screen. Now, I am going to endeavor to empty this fat into the sink without injuring myself. Wish me luck. There we go! I'm not spilling it! Yay! Oh, watch out for your sleeve. Yeah, there we go. Nice. This would have gone in our pie. Well, I'd say we're good. There, now look at that. There. I can chuck that in there and on to the next step. Alright, here we go. I've got my meat and onions in the bowl. What I'm going to be doing momentarily is adding the potatoes and spices into it. Now, I prefer to use this handy-dandy emulsion blender. Makes it pretty easy. Now you can just use a regular blender, a food processor, whatever you have available. The main thing is we need to get this as fine as possible, and as blended as thoroughly as possible. Alright, now this next part's crucial, and I'm going to be narrating this because I'm going to need to do the blending with both hands. And alright, so you're going to want to add your spices. Now, this is going to be crucial. So first, put some garlic in, about 2 teaspoons, then add your potatoes and blend that up a bit. Then, you're going to want your spices. Now, you can put things in, but you can't take them out. So, when you're doing this by eye, you're going to want to be careful. Put in a little bit of each of everything first. And then take a spoon, taste it. You think it needs more salt? Add more salt. Think it needs more pepper? Add more pepper. Now, same thing goes. Cinnamon, nutmeg, anything that you're putting in there. Now, let's get to the finished bit. There. Look at that. Right consistency, got it all flavored. Now for the next bit. Putting it in the pie. Alright, first step. We got our pie plate. Let's put in a little non-stick spray. Marvelous. Now, as we flash forward, All right, here we're gonna get our oven set up to 350 degrees, and we're gonna get our filling into the pie. There we go. Nice and perfect. Now we have another transition, and beautiful. So you see what I've done is, now this was a very slow process as this was cooling. Take the top sheet of pastry dough and put it along nice and carefully and folded it in half. Now this is the lead up to a very crucial step as I am gesturing with this tiny knife. So here I'm going to be making little chevron shapes, nice little cute little chevrons. I mean, they're not little, but they're cute. These comprise the vents, which let air escape from your pie as it's baking. Now, this is a very crucial step, as I've said before, because this prevents your pie from exploding. Now, you don't need to do these little chevron things like I did. You can make it as fancy as you want. But this is a nice, simple, elegant way of doing it. So now I'm going to very carefully and off camera fold this back over and lead into the next step. Alright, so we got this folded over. Now first things first, pop these open a little bit. Just get them nice and open so they don't close on us during the prep work here. There we go, come on, work with me. Thank you very much. Nice. Now here what I'm going to do is press these down together. Now, however you want to do this, I just like to take my two fingers like this, my middle and index finger, and press it down at an angle, right at the rim of the pie plate. Now, my other hand's just guiding this along, and I'm using my index finger, putting it in the indent of my middle finger, just so I can get a nice, even imprint on here. Look at that. Well, almost even. And cue the speed up. And as we slow back down to real world time, there. Nice. So now, the reason why we did this right along the rim, we're gonna trim this off very carefully and also off screen. Alright, now we got our excess cut off, and what I've done here is a nice, optional trick that you can do with this. All I did here was take an egg, a whole egg, whip it up, got it nice and blended, and what I'm gonna do is take this neoprene brush, take this egg wash, and put it all over the pie. Now, not too thick, just a light painting, but I gotta make sure I get every square inch of this. What this is gonna do, now again, this is an optional step, but if you want to do it, it's gonna give this pie a nice golden crust when it comes out. So, here, just getting this brush nice and gloppy, I'm gonna start painting. Getting right to the edge. Don't be afraid to spatter it around a little bit. That's what Lysol wipes are for. Nice. There we go. And the finishing touches. Perfect. Alright, so now we got our oven heated up, 350 degrees, and we're going to start it in the oven at 45 minutes. We'll check it then if it needs longer. What we're going here, getting that nice golden color on the crust, that's when we know it is done. Alright, About time to check. Let's give it a look. Ooh. Ooh, hoo, hoo. Yes, there we go. Look at that. Look at the color and everything else. Normally, I would let this cool, but I'm excited. Alright, so my eagerness shows a little bit. So this is primarily why you want to let it cool, so it comes out in one piece. But here is the other important thing. The toppings. Now, you can do anything. I know several people who put ketchup on this. I'm personally not a fan. One of my favorites is actually a little bit of butter and a nice helping of maple syrup. So, let's see how I did. After stuff. That, my friends, is a tourtière. This has been a cooking tutorial with La Société Française of St. Anselm College. Have a good night, and let me know what you think of this recipe. Santé.